Hi, this is Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, right back here on WagerTalk TV with your NFL Fade the Public video for Week 7 this Sunday, October the 23rd. I'm going to give you the most public sides in the NFL this week and let you know where the public is heavy so you can fade them if you so desire. Doing so this season on the blind has hit 61% winners the first 6 weeks here. We're going to do week number 7. By the way, we have not had a single week below 500 on this video fading the public yet this season. A lot of public action this week in week 7. 7 selections for you on this video. 5 selections plus 2 additional leans that were just a bit outside for making the cut. And most importantly, we have some public underdogs this week, including one of the most public dogs I've seen all season. All that information coming up free for you right here on Wager Talk TV. Quick reminder that October is here. This is the best month of the year because we have 4 major sports going at the same time. Of course, we have college and pro football. Don't forget the MLB playoffs are in full swing still here for another few weeks through the World Series. And the NBA regular season started this past week. 4 major sports going on a daily basis. Now is the time to start taking a serious long-term investment approach. And the time and the price has never been better because I've got a huge discount for you on my 30-day all sports all access package. Normally it's $299 for 30 days all sports. You get an instant $100 discount when you use promo code STEVE30 and get 30 days and nights, every best bet, every sport, every day for 30 straight days and nights for just $199. But you've got to use that promo code at checkout, STEVE30. Get to the page quicker with shortcut code WT.buzz/SM. All right, let's get right to that public information here for week 7. Hey, look, thanks for all the support. The video continues to grow each and every week, over 22,000 views last week. And we do have the Monday night game once again for the 4th straight week. The public is heavy on the Monday night game. Fading the public is a perfect 3-0 the past 3 Monday nights, so stay tuned. That's at the end of this video, or if you're joining us on Monday, feel free to fast forward to the Monday night game. But if you're joining us on Saturday or Sunday, you're going to want to watch this whole video because I've got 7 sides for you. Let's start with the most public side this week on Sunday. It's a late afternoon game at 4:25 Eastern, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs -1. Now, I did some preliminary radio shows and TV shows earlier in the week, and on Tuesday evening, I was starting to look at the NFL card for this week, and I mentioned that the Chiefs are most likely going to be the most public play this week, and at the time, Kansas City was a 3-point favorite, so I never thought we would see Kansas City down to -1 when I actually did this video heading into the weekend. But it's not a total surprise in hindsight because the reason the line was high is because the Niners had a lot of injuries at the beginning of the week. In fact, coming into this week, 11 of their 22 starters on offense and defense were on the injured list. Now, as of the Friday injury report, they did get a few of the key players back. At least 4 starters are going to definitely be back, including Bosa, key defensive player, Trent Williams at tackle. So San Francisco's looking a little bit healthier as they head into the weekend. I think that's one of the reasons we've seen this line drop a bit. But it is surprising to see a game move off the key number of -3 when it's a very public side. It's now down to -1. So one of the reasons fading the public works. And when I started this video 2 years ago in November, a couple seasons ago, you remember we went 31-8 all the way through the Super Bowl, fading the most public sides. Kansas City made the video quite often in 2020, and they were winning games but not covering. So it's ironic that this line has actually dropped a bit. But once again, the Chiefs are a very public side. Probably the most public play this week is the Kansas City Chiefs, yet it has gone from -3 down to -1. So we'll keep an eye on this line when the game kicks off at 4:25 Eastern on Sunday. Of course, the Chiefs are coming off a tough loss against the Buffalo Bills last week, probably the biggest, most high-profile game of the season. Normally, you'd say it'd be a letdown spot in the non-conference road game, but I don't think that'll be the case here, as obviously San Francisco is a high-profile team. A rematch from the Super Bowl a couple years ago in Miami. San Francisco also coming off a loss, but a bad loss at Atlanta as a road favorite. Keep in mind, they stayed on the East Coast for 2 straight weeks after playing Carolina and then Atlanta. Now they're back home. Huge blockbuster trade on Friday morning as Christian McCaffrey goes from the Panthers for numerous draft picks to the 49ers. As of Friday night, heading into Saturday, it is still uncertain if McCaffrey will play or not. Head coach Shanahan said he's going to leave it up to the team to decide. McCaffrey is healthy. He passed the physical. Up to the team to decide if he plays or if he knows enough of the playbook, more importantly. Otherwise, he will make his debut next week at the LA Rams. Hey, quickly, leave me comments below, of course, for the videos. As always want to know your best bets, your thoughts this week. But let me know your thoughts on the trade by the Panthers getting rid of McCaffrey, one of the most versatile and important offensive players in the league now for several seasons. Keep in mind, he played 48 games in his first 3 years, 2017, 18, and 19. He's only started 16 games the last 3 years combined, only played 10 and 20 and 21 due to injury. So my take is that the Panthers kind of knew his days were getting up there. The average running back only plays, I think, about 4 to 5 years. He's already played 6 seasons. This is his 6th. So I think Carolina realizes his value would be less at the end of the season. They've kind of written off the year. Be interesting to see if Carolina just goes through the motions now. So let me know your thoughts on that trade. Let me know your thoughts also on the Panthers and the 49ers going forward. All right, let's look at the other public favorite. I've got 2 public dogs for you, but I'm going to give you one other public favorite. He goes at 1 o'clock Eastern on Sunday afternoon, and that's the Green Bay Packers. Currently, as we head into the weekend, Green Bay is either a 4.5 or 5-point favorite. I see a few 4.5, mostly 4.5s out there, but there are a few -5s, so shop around. If you're looking to fade the Packers, probably wait till you get at least a +5 or more with the Washington Commanders. My former Washington Redskins, no longer my Washington Commanders, as you all know, and they're not an easy team to root for. Pretty miserable season overall. They finally get their second win of the season, and it was ugly. 12-7 on Thursday Night Football a week and a half ago. So they do get the mini bye coming in here. That might be a little bit of an edge. 4 straight unders, as they are really struggling offensively. 17 points or less in 4 straight games. But defensively, they've held each of those opponents to 25 or less. Green Bay, meanwhile, has given up 27 in back-to-back games, 24 or more in 3 straight games. So can make the argument that the Commanders are actually in better defensive form than Green Bay, but I do think the Packers hold a substantial offensive edge, and obviously it's bounce-back mode after 2 straight losses against the Giants in London and a bad loss last week against the Jets. I thought Green Bay was in a pretty good spot last week. The Jets, as I mentioned here in the video, were a very public underdog. It's one of the few and only public dogs this season. I think it's only the second public dog I've mentioned in this series after 6 weeks that has cashed this year. So that was a pretty big upset for New York, and they really dominated the game 27-10. We'll see if the Packers can bounce back this week. Last week, the public faded them with the Jets, and they cashed with the Jets. They made money fading Green Bay, yet now the public is on Green Bay. Kind of a strange setup here. I think part of the reason is that the public has faded the Commanders for actually about 4 straight weeks here. They've been a huge anti-consensus team. So I don't think this is necessarily the Packers being backed by the public. I think it's just more that the public is not playing the Commanders. But Green Bay does qualify as a public favorite at 1 o'clock Eastern on Sunday. Now, there are 2 public dogs also on Sunday afternoon. One of them is very public, probably the most public dog, one of the most public dogs we'll see all season, and that is the New York Giants. Giants +3 at Jacksonville at 1 o'clock Eastern. And this isn't only the public backing the Giants, who are 5-1 straight up and against the spread getting points, but they're also fading Jacksonville, who's just 2-4 straight up in ATS. So it's understandable why Jacksonville is not getting any public love here. But if you dig deeper and throw out the records, 5-1 versus 2-4, these teams are pretty equal. I mean, Jacksonville has outscored their opponents by 4 points per game. Giants have outscored their opponents by just 2.5 per game. And that's with the Jags playing about the equal schedule, about a point weaker than New York. Look at the yards per play, though. This is what really jumps out to me. And I think yards per play long-term is a pretty good indicator of how good a team is on each side of the ball. Giants have been outgained on average 5.3 to 6.0 yards per play, negative 0.7 per game. The Jags have actually outgained their opponents 5.8 to 5.4 plus 0.4 per game, yet they have the much weaker record. So Giants are not as good as their 5-1 record. Jags are probably not as bad as their 2-4 record, and that is why they're a 3-point favorite. A lot of people would call this a trap line because they don't understand why the Giants aren't favored. I get it. And if you look at some of the sharp books, especially the international offshore books, there's a little bit of a lean. Some of them have Jacksonville -3, -1.15. I highly doubt this line goes to 3.5 because the public is on the Giants very heavy this week. Also, though, not sure that it's going to hit 2.5 because I think the sharp money will be in Jacksonville in this game. So I'll go ahead and call this a sharp square divide, but more importantly, I'll call the Giants the most public underdog this week and one of the most public underdogs I've seen all season. That game goes at 1 o'clock Eastern on Sunday. Don't have to look far to find the other public dog on Sunday, and that's the other New York team, the New York Jets. That game does kick off later, though, because it's in Denver at 4 o'clock Eastern, but the Jets also a fairly heavy public dog this week. Now, they're just a +1 dog, but they are still an underdog here, and they're getting some consensus love. And this isn't just a play on the Jets. I think it's also a play against Denver, and that's often the case with these heavy consensus games. As I mentioned earlier, the Jets cashed for the public last week as a public dog at Green Bay, an easy outright win. I believe that was only the second time this year. The Cowboys a few weeks ago at the Rams cashed outright, and then the Jets last week. I believe those are the only 2 that have won straight up this year as public dogs here in this series. So we'll see if the Jets can do it again. back-to-back weeks. I doubt it. I mean, Denver is a team that's definitely better than their 2-4 record. And keep in mind, the public faded Denver last week here in this video using the Chargers. I had a strong best bet on the Broncos for my clients in Monday Night Football at WagerTalk.com, and Denver got it done. Yes, they lost the game 19-16, but it was tight. They were leading late, went to OT. They were a 4.5 point dog. They covered. Just 2-4 straight up at ATS this year. But once again, kind of like Jacksonville we just talked about, statistically they're better than their record. They're outgaining their opponents 5.6 to 4.7 yards per play. That's a net difference of plus 0.9, almost a full yard per play on average per game, yet they're just 2-4. Jets, meanwhile, are outgaining their opponents on average 5.4 to 5.2. So they're an above average team right now. Keep in mind they had that terrible opener against Baltimore with Joe Flacco. Zach Wilson is obviously an upgrade, and they've gone a perfect 3-0 straight up in ATS the last 3 games with him. However, all 3 were straight up underdog wins. Now they're traveling without rest for the second straight week on the road in the thin air and altitude of Denver. One other thing I want to point out about this game is the adjusted line value, and that's often the case, as I've said often on this video series, why fading the public works, because the lines are inflated one way more than they should be. This is a pretty good example of that. The look-ahead line this summer, bettable look-ahead line this summer, was Denver minus 7.5 to minus 8. Broncos were more than a touchdown favorite this summer before the season began. Just a week ago, before the teams played last week, Denver was going to be about a 3.5 point favorite. That was a bettable line in the live markets. So it was 7.5 this summer, 3.5 a week ago, and then boom, it was right around pick'em when it opened, and now Denver's about a 1 point favorite. There was some uncertainty of Russell Wilson's hamstring injury, but it looks like he is going to play, and he's healing up pretty fast. Not sure it was as serious as people thought. But the public likes the New York Jets +1. That game kicks off on Sunday at 4 o'clock Eastern. Those are the 4 most public plays for Sunday afternoon this week. I'm going to give you 2 bonus games that were just a bit outside from making the cut here in just a moment. Also, keep in mind the Monday Night Football makes the video for the 4th straight week as a very public play. Perfect 3-0, fading the public the last 3 Monday nights. We'll see if it's 4 weeks in a row that wins here in just a moment. Quick reminder, though, that October is here. Now is the time to be playing all sports, every day. Take a serious investment approach with a direct subscription, and the time has never been better as I'm offering an instant $100 discount for a 30-day all sports, all access pass from myself, Steve Merril, at WagerTalk.com. Let's put it in perspective. Normally, 1 day of all sports is $39. If you go there any day of the week and you want to get my college football on Saturday, my NFL on Sunday, baseball, NBA as well, it's $39 for a 1 day all access pass. That's actually a pretty good deal, especially when there's multiple sports going. But it's even better to get a 30-day because you're getting it all for just $199. That works out to just $6.50 a day. So you can do $39 per day or get a full month for just $6.50 per day. But you got to have promo code STEVE30. Normally it's $299 for a 30-day. You go to my page right now, select the drop-down All Access. You'll see a 30-day package for $299, but you get an instant $100 discount, 33% off with promo code STEVE30 when you enter that promo code at checkout. Do it right now on my page. Get there quicker with the shortcut code WT.buzz/SM. All right, let's look at 2 additional bonus games for you for Sunday afternoon games. They were just a bit outside from making the cut. And 2 sides, one favorite and another public dog alert, which I'll get to in a moment. But let's first look at the favorite, and that's the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern at home against the Cleveland Browns. Baltimore, as we head into the weekend, is currently a 6.5 point favorite in most spots. Was 6 earlier in the week. It has gone up to 6.5. We'll see if it hits that key number of 7. I think there's a chance. I doubt it will, but there could be a chance because Baltimore does have some consensus here. Not quite strong enough to be a full-blown public play here. The 4 I mentioned earlier were the 4 most public for Sunday, but this one just missed the cut, and the Ravens definitely have some public sentiment here. Look-ahead line this summer was going to be Baltimore -3, open 6, now it's 6.5, so it's definitely inflated. Browns having a tough season. Look, they're 2-4 straight up and against the spread, and they could be a lot better than that record. They blew the 13-point lead with 1:50 to go against the Jets in Week 2, a 3-point loss at Atlanta in Week 4, a 2-point loss against the Chargers, and then last week, obviously, blown out by New England. But going into last week, they were 2-3 straight up, could have been 4-1, even 5-0. So you had to wonder what their mindset was, and I talked about that as they missed the cut last week, too. New England was an additional lean here in the video as a public play. As a public faded Cleveland last week, and they cashed in, and they're doing it again this week. And once again, you do have to worry about the Browns' mindset. Was the letdown game last week against New England? Do they get back on track now? Or do they realize their season is pretty much over after just 6 weeks? And that is a concern. Meanwhile, the Ravens coming off a loss to the Giants as a 5.5-point road favorite, so they should be in bounce-back mode here. They've only covered the spread once since week 1. They've gone 1-3-1 the last 5 weeks since their cover against the Jets when Flacco was at quarterback for New York. So two teams coming off subpar performances last week. The public thinks the Ravens bounce back, and they have a little bit of a public lean on Baltimore, -6.5 at 1 o'clock Eastern. Now, the other additional lean, which caught my eye a little bit more and actually surprised me, I didn't expect this one to be on the public radar this week, but the Seattle Seahawks are getting some public sentiment. That game goes at 4:25 Eastern at LA against the Chargers. And Seattle, once again, is a public dog this week. It was close to being an overall full-blown public dog. The Jets and Giants had a lot of public sentiment, so I'm going to say Seattle's an additional lean. But the public is back in Seattle, and they do qualify as somewhat of a public underdog, which, as you all know, is always a red flag. Reason I say that for the new viewers is that the public in general is on favorites about 60 to 70% of the time. So to say a public is very favorite or very heavy favorite as a public as a favorite is we have to see the consensus be 70, 80% or more. Not the case with underdogs. If they even get to 50%, we start looking. Seahawks are about 55% consensus this week, so they do have some public lean. Giants and Jets, to put it in perspective, are like 60, 65, even 70% in some spots. So the two New York teams are very heavy public. Seahawks are as well, though, and I'll give that to you as an additional public underdog lean this week at 4:25 Eastern. And what's interesting about this line is it's come down from the opener of 7.5 down to 5 as we head into the weekend. Receiver Lockett is questionable. He has not practiced this week, but it looks like he might play. I think that's part of the reason the line has dropped a bit. Seattle, an explosive offensive team, 6.5 yards per play this season. Chargers averaging just about 5.5 yards per play. So Seattle's a full yard per play better offensively than the Chargers, and they've played a slightly tougher schedule of opponents this year. But you do have to wonder about that Seattle defense. They've given up a lot of points, and this is a team that's given up 6.5 yards per play, the same as they average on offense. Chargers are giving up 6.1 yards per play on offense. So the Seahawks, on the surface against a slightly stronger schedule, actually have better yards per play numbers. So I can understand why the public is backing them and why this line has dropped a bit. I wasn't expecting to see Seattle on the public radar, but the more you dig into this game, you can kind of understand the reasoning. We'll see how it works out for the public. They, of course, took care of Arizona last week and held them to just 9 points. I really think that's more Arizona just struggling offensively this year. That was the only time this year Seattle's looked any good since week 1 against Denver, another team that has really struggled offensively. So Seattle shut down the two bad offensive teams, but they gave up 39 to New Orleans, 45 to Detroit, and 27 against both San Francisco and Atlanta in between. Chargers obviously can be considered a good offensive team, although they did not look great against Denver, who's a very good defensive team on Monday Night Football last week. We'll see if they can put up some points. They put up 64 points in their two previous games before last Monday. So once again, Seahawks and Ravens have some public leans on Sunday. All right, let's get to the Monday Night Football game. This game is a full-blown public selection, and that's the New England Patriots on Monday Night Football. This is the 4th straight week here that the Monday night game has made the video as a full-blown public selection, and the public has gone 0-3. Fading them has gone 3-0 the past 3 Mondays. We'll see if it's a 4th straight winner with the Bears. And look, it's hard on the surface to make a case for the Chicago Bears. Ugly team. They're 2-4 straight up. They just lost as a 1-point home dog to the Washington Commanders, 7-12. Only scored 7 points. That was Thursday Night Football, though, so they have a little bit of a mini bye week to work on some of their issues as they head into this Monday night game. New England, meanwhile, coming off an impressive showing at Cleveland. Keep in mind, though, they had a 4-1 turnover edge in that game last Sunday, so a little bit more impressive than the score. The score is a little more impressive probably than what the stats are. Beat Detroit 29-0 the week before that. Had a 1-2 turnover edge. In fact, they've had a turnover edge in every game this season except 2 and 4 of the last 5 games overall. New England at home this year has beaten Detroit and Baltimore. They lost to. This is only their 3rd home game out of 7 this season, so it should be a pretty good crowd for Monday Night Football. Problem with the Bears is they just don't throw the ball well, and they have trouble offensively when they get behind, but they do run the ball extremely well. 171 rushing yards per game, which is something that's gotten overlooked. Patriots have been very mediocre defending the run this year, and in fact, in their 2 home games, They've given up 5.5 yards per carry against Detroit and Baltimore. Now, obviously, those are two much better offensive teams than Chicago, but the Bears have run the ball well this year. Fields is mobile, just don't throw the ball well. So if they get behind, it's going to be tough to catch up. But if they can keep it close to that running game, maybe they could surprise here. And once again, the New England Patriots are a pretty public play, and that is the Monday night game at 8:15 Eastern this Monday night. Patriots, as we head into the weekend, currently an 8-point favorite. I would think they're going to be a very popular teaser play this week, teasing them down to -2. Hard to disagree with that. So if you are looking to play New England as a public side, you're probably better off using a 6-point teaser and getting them down below a field goal to -2.5 or less. I would expect this line to probably rise as we head into the weekend closer to Monday. So if you are looking to play New England straight up on the -8 or on a teaser, you might want to do so sooner than later. And two of the sharp leading indicator offshore books already have -9, -105 because they don't want people to be able to tease it below 3, which is the most important number in all of football betting. So that's another indication from the sharp books that they think New England is a good teaser play this week on Monday Night Football. Hope you found this video useful as always. Always love doing it. I love the support. We had over 22,000 views last week. Let's keep it climbing. I was actually thinking this, and some people said it in the comments. If this video gets too big, then it becomes public. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm not too worried about that yet. This is a huge betting market. The NFL betting market's the biggest in the world. And with the 30-plus states in the U.S. coming online the last couple years, I think there's plenty of public action still to come, and fading the public will continue to work. Oh, by the way, on the record this year, crunch the numbers here, 19-12 on all public plays and additional leans. Last week, the 4 public plays, fading them went 3-1, but for the first time all season, the leans went 0-2, fading them. So 3-3 last week. In fact, we've had 500 weeks for like 3 or 4 straight weeks, but the public has not been better than 500 any week this season, the first 6. And overall, fading all the public sides that I've given you leans and plays on this video has gone 19-12, 61% on the blind. Not a bad strategy on the blind. And keep in mind, use this as a filter, use it as a factor, just part of your overall handicapping arsenal when you're digging into the NFL games, because the public's not always wrong, but you're normally giving up some line value when you're on the public side. So just make sure you've got a lot of other factors working for you when you play the public sides. Otherwise, if you're looking at the other side of a game and you're almost on the border and you find out it's a real anti-consensus play, that might be enough for you to pull the trigger. So lots of different ways to use this information. Comments below, let me know how you use the information, how you find it useful each and every week, this public data. Let me know your best bets, where you agree with the public and where you disagree. Talked about those 6-point teaser plays. Leave me some of your best teasers below. Let me know your thoughts on that Christian McCaffrey trade to the 49ers. Let me know some under-the-radar teams this week and other games we didn't talk about. And that's what keeps these videos going each and every week. Be sure you hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe, hit that bell if you want instant alerts when this video goes live every Saturday afternoon. Don't forget also, if you're joining us on Saturday, the college football top 25 video is still available as well right here on WagerTalk TV. I also have 5 strong college football best bets for Saturday, a huge NFL card for Sunday and Monday. NBA is here now on a daily basis, plus a few weeks left still in the baseball playoffs. Now is the time to get an all sports direct access subscription, and the time and price has never been better. An instant $100 discount, 33% off the normal rate with promo code STEVE30. Normally a one-day all access is $39. You're getting 30 days for just $199 with promo code STEVE30. Use it right now on my page, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Get there quicker with shortcut code WT.buzz/SM. Steve30, 30 days all sports every day and night for just $199. That's football, baseball, and basketball combined. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and comment below. And be sure to check back every day, all week, right here on WagerTalk TV for great free content. Best of luck, enjoy the games, and I'll talk to you again soon.